Chosen one, have you ever felt like God forgot your address? Have you ever wondered if heaven lost your file somewhere between your desperate midnight prayers and your silent morning tears? Have you ever stared at that empty chair across from you and whispered, "Lord, did I waste all these years for nothing?" Stop, right there. What I'm about to tell you will shatter every lie the enemy has whispered about your timing, your worth, and your destiny. The 21st of August is not just another date circled on your kitchen calendar. It is not ink bleeding through paper or numbers counting down your remaining days. The 21st of August is a thunderclap in heaven's timeline, and you, dear chosen one, you are standing directly in its path. There's a sealed envelope with your name written in the handwriting of the Almighty himself. Inside that envelope is a destiny so shocking, so completely unexpected, that even angels have been holding their breath, waiting for this moment. And on the 21st of August, that seal breaks. I can feel some of you right now, sitting in that familiar loneliness, wondering if anyone even remembers you exist. You've been carrying burdens that have bent your back and broken your heart. You've prayed prayers that seem to echo in empty rooms. You've watched younger generations receive their miracles, while you wondered if God ran out of blessings by the time he got to your name. That's not delay, beloved. That's preparation. Before we go deeper into this holy mystery, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and plant that seed of faith. But right now, if your spirit is already stirring, if something deep inside your chest just recognize the sound of heaven calling your name, type "I receive" in the comments. Let heaven know you are awake. Let the angels know you're ready. By the time you hear the full picture, you'll realize why every delay, every tear, every lonely night was not wasted time, it was invested time. Stay with me until the very end, because what happens on the 21st of August will not just shock you, it will resurrect you. Why have you spent 70, 80, maybe 90 years feeling like you're always on the outside looking in? Why does it seem like everyone else got their breakthrough decades ago while you're still waiting for yours? Why do you wake up some mornings wondering if God even remembers you're still here? Listen to me, chosen one. What if I told you that every single moment of feeling forgotten was actually God's way of hiding you until you were ready for something so magnificent that releasing it too early would have destroyed you? You see, there's a difference between being overlooked and being prepared. There's a difference between being delayed and being positioned. And what you've called your wilderness years, those weren't punishment years, those were preparation years. Think about Moses, 80 years old, tending sheep in the middle of nowhere, probably wondering if his life had amounted to anything. 80 years old. In his time, that was ancient. His bones creaked when he walked. His hands shook when he held his staff. Every morning he woke up thinking, "God, surely I've missed my moment. Surely you've moved on to someone younger, stronger, more capable." But God hadn't forgotten Moses. God had been preparing him. 40 years in Pharaoh's palace taught him how kingdoms operate. 40 years in the wilderness taught him how to hear the voice of the Almighty above the noise of the world. And at 80, when everyone else would have written him off, God said, "Now you're ready." Ready for what? Ready to lead 2 million people out of bondage, ready to split the Red Sea, ready to speak face to face with the Creator of the universe. Dear one, if God could use Moses at 80, what makes you think he's done with you at 75, at 85, at 95? Jeremiah 1-5 declares, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, not loved you, not chose you, knew you." That means before your first heartbeat, before your first breath, before your first tear, God already had a complete picture of who you would become and what you would accomplish. Every struggle was part of the blueprint. Every setback was part of the setup. You think your trials were random? You think your pain was pointless? Let me paint you a different picture. Have you ever seen a massive oak tree, towering 80 feet into the sky, trunk so wide 3 people can't wrap their arms around it, branches so strong they can hold 1,000 pounds? But here's what most people don't know. That tree spent decades growing roots underground before anyone ever saw a single leaf above ground. Invisible preparation, hidden strength, secret development. Your trials were like those hidden roots, beloved. Every year you struggled in silence, you were growing deeper. Every season you felt forgotten, you were developing strength. Every moment you wanted to quit but didn't, you were building the root system that would one day support the destiny God has been preparing to release. You thought God was silent, but silence was his workshop. While you were crying, he was carving. While you were waiting, he was weaving. While you were hurting, he was healing the very character flaws that would have disqualified you from what's coming. You couldn't see it because the most important work was happening in the invisible realm. Think about your life right now. How many storms have you weathered that should have broken you? How many losses have you endured that should have destroyed you? How many betrayals have you survived that should have left you bitter and broken? Yet here you are, still breathing, still believing, still standing. That's not human resilience, dear one. That's divine preparation. God has been developing something in you that can only be forged through fire. Patience that can only come from waiting. Wisdom that can only come from walking through darkness and finding the light. Compassion that can only come from carrying your own pain and discovering that God's grace is sufficient. The world looks at your wrinkles and sees decline. God looks at your wrinkles and sees a roadmap of his faithfulness. The world sees your grey hair and thinks past prime. Heaven sees your grey hair and declares perfectly positioned. You know why the 21st of August is so significant? Because God has been preparing you your entire life for this exact moment. Every delay wasn't denial, it was divine timing. Every closed door wasn't rejection, it was redirection towards something greater than you could have imagined at 30, 40, or 50. But here's what breaks my heart. Some of you are sitting there thinking, but I'm too old now. I've missed too much. I've made too many mistakes. Stop, right there. That's not God's voice. That's the enemy trying to steal what God is about to release. Moses thought he was too old. Sarah thought she was too old. Abraham thought he was too old. But God's math doesn't work like human math. In heaven's economy, your age plus God's anointing equals unstoppable purpose. You've been in the wilderness, but wilderness seasons have endings. You've been hidden, but hidden seasons have unveilings. You've been prepared, and preparation seasons have graduations. The 21st of August is your graduation day. Every tear you've cried in secret has been stored in heaven's bottles. Every prayer you've whispered in the dark has been recorded in heaven's archives. Every moment you chose faith over fear has been credited to your account. And on the 21st of August, the compound interest on your faithfulness is about to be released. If you've ever felt hidden but not forgotten, if you recognize your story in Moses' story, if you know deep down that God has been shaping you through every season, write in the comments, God was shaping me. Because what's about to happen on the 21st of August will prove that every invisible moment was building toward this visible manifestation. Your underground season is about to bloom above ground in ways that will shock even you. Now listen to me carefully, chosen one, because what I'm about to reveal will explain why your heart is racing right now, why something deep in your spirit just stirred awake, and why this date, the 21st of August, has been written in heaven's ledger since before you took your first breath. This is not superstition. This is not some mystical calendar coincidence. This is what the Greeks called Chairos, divine timing, breaking into Kronos time. It's the moment when eternity crashes into your living room, when the supernatural shatters the ordinary, when God says, enough waiting. Today, we move. You've been living in Kronos time for decades, haven't you? Tick-tock, tick-tock, doctor appointments at 2 p.m., social security checks on the third Wednesday, pills with breakfast, pills with dinner. The relentless march of minutes and hours that seem to mock your dreams and remind you that sand is running through an hourglass you can't flip over. But the 21st of August operates on heaven's clock. Let me ask you something that's going to cut deep. How many decades have you been waiting? How many years have you whispered the same prayer into your pillow at 3 a.m.? How many times have you looked at that photo on your nightstand, the one of your family, when everyone still called, when everyone still cared, and wondered if restoration died with your youth? 30 years you've been praying for your prodigal son to come home. 25 years you've been believing for that healing the doctors said would never come. 40 years you've been trusting God for financial breakthrough, while you clipped coupons and counted pennies and wondered if he saw your faithfulness or forgot your address. Dear one, every single one of those years was preparation. Every tear was an investment. Every sleepless night was you making deposits into an account you didn't even know existed. And on the 21st of August, heaven cashes the check. The prophet Daniel understood something about divine timing that most believers miss. In Daniel 9:24, he learned about 70 weeks determined for his people. But these weren't calendar weeks, they were appointed seasons, divine Chairos moments when heaven's purposes would collide with earth's reality. Daniel had to wait through exile, through foreign kings, through decades of silence before his breakthrough came. You've been in your own Babylonian exile, haven't you? Exiled from the dreams you used to carry, exiled from the health you used to enjoy, exiled from the family closeness you used to treasure. But exile has an expiration date when you're marked by the Most High. On the 21st of August, the atmosphere around your life will shift so dramatically that you'll feel it in your bones before you see it with your eyes. The air will taste different when you wake up that morning. Colors will seem more vivid. That chronic pain that's been your companion for years might suddenly ease. Phone calls that haven't come in months might start ringing. Letters you've been waiting for might finally arrive. Why? Because when Chairos breaks into Kronos, the natural order bends to accommodate the supernatural order. But here's what's going to shock you most. It's not just that something good will happen on the 21st of August. It's that you'll finally understand why nothing good happened before the 21st of August. Every closed door, every delayed answer, every cruel disappointment, they were all strategic. They were all protection. They were all positioning you for a blessing so specific, so perfectly timed, that if it had come any earlier, you wouldn't have been ready to handle it. Isaiah 55:11 declares, "So shall my word be that goes out from my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I purpose." Every prayer you've prayed for 30 years hasn't disappeared into the void. It's been accumulating like compound interest in heaven's treasury. And the 21st of August is payday. The whispers you've been hearing in your spirit for months, those gentle nudges to clean out that spare bedroom, to make space in your heart for something new, to start believing again, even when believing hurt, those weren't random thoughts. Those were heaven's construction crew preparing the landing pad for what's about to arrive. You know what breaks my heart? It's watching God's most faithful children assume their time has passed. You've been conditioned by a culture that worships youth to believe that miracles have age limits, that breakthroughs come with expiration dates, that God's power somehow weakens when your joints do. That's not just wrong, that's demonic. Moses was 80 when he stood before Pharaoh and declared, "Let my people go." Abraham was 100 when Isaac was born. Sarah laughed at 90 because she'd forgotten that with God, biological impossibility is just another Tuesday. Your age isn't your limitation, it's your qualification. You've got something the younger generation doesn't have: tested faith, proven endurance, battle-scarred trust that's been refined in fires they've never faced. When the 21st of August comes, you won't receive your miracle as a spiritual infant. You'll receive it as a mature believer who knows the weight of waiting and the value of answered prayer. But why the 21st of August? Why now? Why not last year when your desperation was deeper, or next year when your hope might be stronger? Because this is the moment when your preparation meets God's provision. This is when your character finally matches your calling. This is when heaven looks at your file and stamps it ready for release. On the 21st of August, heaven's whispers will turn into shouts. The gentle nudges will become divine declarations. The still, small voice will become a mighty rushing wind that blows away every obstacle, every delay, every reason you've been given to doubt that your God is still in the miracle business. And you, chosen one, will never be the same again. But here's what you must understand about receiving a Kairos moment. Listen to me carefully, beloved. What I'm about to tell you will explain why you've felt different your entire life, why you've carried weight that others couldn't understand, why your journey has been harder, longer, and more painful than it needed to be. You are not broken, you are marked. 1 Peter 2-9 declares with thunderous authority, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession." Not were chosen, not might be chosen. You are chosen, present tense, active, alive, but chosen for what? And why has it hurt so much? There are 3 unmistakable marks that brand the chosen ones, and if you're listening to my voice right now, you carry at least one of them. More likely, you carry all 3. The first mark: unexplainable sensitivity to the Spirit. You feel things others don't feel, don't you? You walk into a room and immediately sense the spiritual temperature. You know when someone's lying before they finish their sentence. You've had dreams that came true, visions that felt more real than reality itself. People call you too sensitive, but what they don't understand is that you're not too sensitive, you're spiritually tuned. Remember Elijah on Mount Horeb? After the earthquake, after the fire, after the wind, came the still small voice. 1 Kings 19:12. Most people would have missed it in all that noise. But Elijah's ears were trained to hear whispers from heaven. That's you, chosen one. You hear what others miss, because your spiritual antenna was built different. But here's what breaks my heart. You've been ashamed of this gift, haven't you? You've tried to turn down the volume, to fit in with people who live on the surface while you swim in the depths. Stop apologizing for carrying heaven's frequency in your spirit. The second mark: unusual endurance in trials. Look at your life honestly. Count the battles you've survived. Count the storms you've weathered. Count the nights you should have given up, but somehow found strength for one more day. That's not human resilience, that's divine preservation. Joseph understood this mark. Thrown in a pit by his own brothers, sold like cattle, falsely accused, forgotten in prison for years. Genesis 39-41 tells the story of a man who should have been destroyed by his circumstances. But here's the mystery. Joseph wasn't just surviving, he was being preserved. Every trial was stripping away everything that wasn't essential, everything that wouldn't fit in a palace. You think your struggles were punishment? No, beloved, they were preparation. God doesn't put his chosen ones through fire to destroy them. He puts them through fire to purify them for assignments so weighty, so significant, that only the refined can carry them. The reason the fight was so hard is because your calling is so heavy. This explains why your marriage survived when it should have crumbled, why your health held when doctors gave up hope, why your finances stretched when the math said impossible. You've been preserved, protected, positioned for something your pain was preparing you to carry. The third mark: unexpected favor in unlikely seasons. Daniel knew this mark intimately. Captured, exiled, thrown into a foreign land with foreign gods and foreign customs. By all accounts, he should have been forgotten, irrelevant, powerless. But Daniel 1-9 records something extraordinary. God had caused the official to show favor and compassion to Daniel. Even in exile, favor followed him. Even in captivity, kings preferred his counsel. Even when lions surrounded him, their mouths were shut. That's not luck, chosen one. That's the mark of divine selection, operating in impossible circumstances. Have you noticed doors opening for you that should have stayed closed? Have you experienced provision that came from nowhere? Have you found yourself in rooms you never applied to enter, having conversations with people who should have overlooked you? That's not accident, that's assignment. Your scars are not decorations of defeat. They are seals of destiny. Every mark on your heart proves you survived what was meant to eliminate you. Every wound tells the story of a battle you fought and won. Every tear you've shed has watered the ground for this moment when God says, now they're ready. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to understand. He's been trying to convince you that these marks make you weird, damaged, unsuitable for God's purposes. He's whispered lies that your sensitivity makes you weak, your trials make you worthless, your unusual journey makes you unqualified. That's backwards thinking from the pit of hell. Your sensitivity makes you dangerous to darkness because you can sense his schemes before he springs them. Your endurance makes you unstoppable because you've learned to stand when standing seems impossible. Your favor makes you formidable because heaven backs what hell cannot break. Look at Jesus himself, sensitive enough to weep over Jerusalem, enduring enough to carry a cross up Calvary, favored enough that even Pilate's wife had dreams warning her husband. The marks of the chosen were all over the Son of God, and they're all over you too. If you feel these marks burning in your spirit right now, if recognition is flooding your soul like lightning, don't you dare shrink back into the shadows of self-doubt. Don't you dare let the world convince you that ordinary is safer than anointed. If you feel these marks in your spirit, declare in faith right now, I am chosen. Say it until hell hears it. Say it until heaven confirms it. Say it until your own heart believes what God has always known about you. But knowing you're chosen is just the beginning, because the 21st of August isn't just about recognition, it's about activation. And what gets activated in the chosen ones will shock even you. Listen to me, chosen one. What I'm about to reveal will stop your heart and restart it with divine electricity. You've been walking through life wondering why every door slammed shut just as your fingers touched the handle. You've questioned why promotion passed you by, why relationships crumbled when you needed them most, why your children moved 3 time zones away and call once a month if you're lucky. You've whispered in the darkness, God, did I do something wrong? Am I being punished? No, beloved, you were being positioned. The 21st of August is not just another sunrise over another ordinary day. It is the day heaven's dam breaks. For years, decades, divine waters have been building behind an invisible wall, gathering force, accumulating pressure. Every rejection was another gallon added to that reservoir. Every no was increasing the water level. Every disappointment was building the pressure that's about to explode across your landscape. The Israelites stood at the Red Sea for 430 years in bondage. 430 years. Can you imagine the mothers who died believing their children would never see freedom? The fathers who went to their graves thinking deliverance was a fairy tale. But then came the day when Moses stretched out his hand, and what seemed impossible for 4 centuries happened in one moment. The sea didn't slowly part, dear one. It exploded open with the force of accumulated divine pressure. That's the 21st of August for you. You think God forgot about that prayer you prayed in 1987 when you buried your mother. You think he lost track of that desperate cry you whispered when the diagnosis came back positive. You think he didn't hear you when you knelt beside your husband's hospital bed and begged for more time. Every single prayer has been adding weight to the waters behind your personal Red Sea. And on the 21st of August, the dam breaks. But here's what will shock you most. It won't come the way you imagined. You've been watching the front door while God's been preparing the skylight. You've been listening for a knock while he's been planning an earthquake. The prophet Isaiah declared, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways." This is why your breakthrough had to be delayed. If it came when you expected it, in the form you expected it, you would have tried to manage it with your limited human understanding. But what's coming on the 21st of August is too big for your planning, too supernatural for your scheduling, too divine for your direction. Think about Lazarus, dead for 4 days. Martha said, "Lord, by this time there's a stench." Even Jesus' closest friends had given up hope. The mourners had gone home. The funeral was over. The stone was sealed. But Jesus had been waiting for the exact moment when resurrection would shock everyone, when the impossible would become undeniable. You've been in the tomb, chosen one, not buried, planted. There's a difference. What dies goes down and stays down. What's planted goes down to come up. And the 21st of August is your resurrection morning. I need you to understand something that will revolutionize your faith. God doesn't do maintenance work. He doesn't come to make small adjustments to your life. When the Almighty moves, He moves with the force of creation itself. He doesn't whisper when He could thunder. He doesn't trickle when He could flood. He doesn't add when He could multiply. This is why the shock will be complete, total, overwhelming. Your phone will ring with an opportunity you never applied for. A check will arrive in your mailbox from a source you can't explain. A relationship you thought was dead will resurrect with apologies and restoration. A health report will confuse your doctors. A legal matter will resolve in your favor against all odds. But most shocking of all these won't be separate events. They'll be connected, orchestrated, synchronized like a divine symphony playing all at once. Jeremiah 29:11 promises, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you hope and a future." But notice, it doesn't say plan. It says plans, plural, multiple streams of blessing converging on one day. You've been wondering why you're still here when so many of your friends have gone home to glory. You've questioned why God kept you breathing through the heart attack, why you survived the accident, why you recovered from the illness. The 21st of August is your answer. You weren't preserved for retirement. You were preserved for revelation. The shock won't just be external. Something inside you will shift permanently. That voice that's been whispering you're too old, too late, too forgotten will be silenced forever. You'll wake up the 22nd of August knowing with absolute certainty that your best days weren't behind you. They were ahead of you all along. On that day, you will feel something inside shift. You will know this is not coincidence, not luck, not accident. This is divine intervention, written in permanent ink across the pages of your destiny. If you believe it, shout Amen in the comments right now. Let heaven hear your faith colliding with your future. But here's what most people miss, and it's crucial you don't make this mistake. The 21st of August is not your destination, it's your ignition. What happens after the shock arrives will determine whether this becomes a moment of glory or a lifetime of transformation. Are you prepared for what comes next? Now listen carefully, chosen one, because what I'm about to tell you could be the difference between receiving your the 21st of August miracle and losing it within 30 days. You think the shock is the hard part. You think standing in that divine moment when heaven splits open and pours out its abundance is the challenge. No, beloved. The shock is the easy part. The shock is God doing what only God can do. But what comes after that's where your character gets tested. Here's what nobody tells you about divine breakthroughs. They come with weight, real weight. Not the weight of burden, but the weight of responsibility. And most people, even good people, even praying people, they crack under that weight because they thought receiving was the finish line when it was actually the starting gun. Let me paint you a picture that might shake you to your core. Remember when the children of Israel finally got their miracle? Remember when God parted the Red Sea and they walked through on dry ground? They were singing, they were dancing. Miriam had her tambourine out, and everyone was celebrating the shock of God's deliverance. But 40 days later, they were worshipping a golden calf. 40 days, from miracle to disaster in 6 weeks. Why? Because they thought the miracle was supposed to sustain itself. They thought God's intervention meant they could coast. They forgot that every blessing births a responsibility. And I need to ask you something that might cut deep. How many blessings have you lost because you celebrated the gift but neglected the garden? Galatians 6-9 warns us with divine precision. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Did you catch that? If we do not lose heart. That's not a promise, that's a condition. Your the 21st of August shock comes with fine print, and that fine print says, what you receive, you must tend. Because here's the mystery most believers never understand. God isn't just giving you gifts, He's giving you gardens. Gardens that must be planted, watered, protected, and harvested with your own hands. That financial breakthrough coming your way? It's not a lottery ticket, it's a trust fund. That relationship restoration heading toward you? It's not a fairy tale, it's a fragile seedling that needs daily attention. That health miracle approaching your body? It's not a magic pill, it's a temple that requires your partnership with heaven. And this is where most people fail. They get the shock, they feel the rush, they experience the supernatural, and then they scatter. They try to do everything at once. They chase 10 different opportunities instead of stewarding the one divine assignment. They become spiritual children in a candy store, grabbing everything they can hold until it all falls to the ground. Listen to me, dear one. Shock opens doors, but faith keeps you inside the room. Do you remember what happened to the servant who buried his talent? Matthew 25 tells us his master called him wicked and lazy, not because he stole it, not because he spent it foolishly, but because he failed to tend it. He received the gift but refused the responsibility. He wanted the blessing without the burden of making it grow. How many of you right now are carrying the memory of a blessing you let slip away? How many opportunities did God send your way that you didn't recognize as assignments? How many divine connections did you treat as casual encounters instead of sacred appointments? The enemy doesn't have to steal your the 21st of August miracle. All he has to do is convince you that receiving it was enough. All he has to do is whisper, you've worked hard enough. You've waited long enough. Now you can rest. And while you're resting, your garden withers. But I'm here to tell you something that will revolutionize how you approach what's coming. Blessings are like newborn infants. They arrive with great joy, tremendous celebration, overwhelming love, and absolute vulnerability. A newborn cannot feed itself. A newborn cannot protect itself. A newborn requires constant attention, or it dies. Your the 21st of August breakthrough will arrive the same way. Beautiful, precious, powerful, and completely dependent on your stewardship. This is why God has been preparing you through years of faithfulness in small things. This is why He's tested your patience, your consistency, your ability to stay committed when nobody was watching. Because what's coming requires someone who knows how to tend a garden, not just admire flowers. And here's what will separate you from those who lose their miracles. You must choose one primary assignment and pour your energy there. Not 3 assignments, not 5 opportunities. One divine focus that becomes your garden of multiplication. When Jesus fed the 5,000, what did He tell the disciples to do with the leftovers? Gather up the fragments that remain, that nothing be lost. Not because He was worried about waste, but because He understood the principle of stewardship. Every fragment matters. Every blessing has value, but only when it's carefully collected and wisely managed. The 21st of August shock is coming, but it's coming with instructions attached. And those instructions will require you to move differently, think differently, and choose differently than you ever have before. Because God isn't just changing your circumstances, chosen one. He's changing your assignment. And assignments come with accountability. Type, I will guard my blessing if you are ready to walk in stewardship, if you're ready to tend the garden that heaven is about to plant in your life. But before you can guard what's coming, you need to understand exactly what you're guarding against and why the enemy is already positioning himself to steal what God is about to give you. But here's where the 21st of August becomes bigger than you ever imagined. chosen one. What's about to shock you isn't just a personal breakthrough. It's the ignition of a generational explosion that will echo through bloodlines you'll never meet and touch lives you'll never see. You think this is about you finally getting your moment? You think this is about your prayers finally being answered after decades of silence? Dear one, you're thinking too small. The 21st of August isn't your birthday. It's the conception date of a legacy that will outlive your great-grandchildren. Let me tell you about a woman who understood this principle. Her name was Harriet Tubman, and she was having visions that terrified her. Not visions for herself, visions for people she'd never met, trapped in chains she'd never worn, crying in darkness she'd already escaped. Those visions weren't about Harriet getting comfortable in her freedom. They were about Harriet becoming a conduit for other people's liberation. 19 trips back into slave territory. Over 300 souls led to freedom, not because she needed to prove anything to herself, but because she understood that her breakthrough was never meant to end with her. It was meant to flow through her like a river breaking through a dam, carrying everything in its path to higher ground. That's what the 21st of August is for you. A dam breaking. But I know what some of you are thinking right now. I'm 72 years old. My legacy is already written. My impact days are behind me. Oh, beloved, that's the biggest lie hell ever whispered in your ear. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years hidden away on Robben Island. 27 years. While the world moved on without him, while his generation aged into retirement, while younger activists took the spotlight. But when he emerged at age 71, he didn't emerge as a relic of the past. He emerged as the architect of the future. 4 years later, he was president of a nation. At 75 years old, he was reshaping the destiny of an entire continent. Your hiddenness wasn't punishment. It was preparation for influence you can't even comprehend yet. Here's what shocks me about God's timing. He doesn't give you revelation for yourself when you're young and selfish. He gives it to you when you're old enough to understand that it's not about you. When you've buried enough dreams to know that the only dreams worth living are the ones that outlive you. When you've felt enough pain to carry other people's healing without dropping it. The 21st of August is going to shock you with something so massive that your individual life couldn't contain it. It's going to require your children, your grandchildren, your community, your church, your neighborhood. Because what's coming through you is bigger than what's coming to you. Think about Moses. When God called him at 80 years old, it wasn't so Moses could have a comfortable retirement. It was so 2 million people could walk into their promised land. One man's yes became a nation's exodus. One man's surrender became a generation's salvation. That's the mathematics of the 21st of August. Your breakthrough multiplied across every life you touch. But here's where it gets personal, and I need you to feel this in your chest right now. Every person you love, every child who carries your DNA, every grandchild who sits at your table, every neighbor who watches how you live, every friend who calls you when their world falls apart, they're all waiting for the 21st of August too. They just don't know it yet. When that shock hits you, when that divine momentum breaks through your circumstances, it's not going to stop at your address. It's going to flow down your family tree like water, finding every root, every branch, every leaf. Your children are going to call you with opportunities they can't explain. Your grandchildren are going to have doors open that weren't there the week before. Your community is going to witness something they've never seen before. What happens when God decides to bless an entire bloodline through one surrendered vessel? This is why the enemy fought you so hard. This is why the attacks were so vicious, so personal, so relentless. He wasn't trying to stop you from being happy. He was trying to stop you from becoming a distribution center for heaven's abundance. He knew that if you ever stepped into your full authority, if you ever realized that your life was a pipeline, not a puddle, his grip on your entire sphere of influence would be broken. But the 21st of August breaks that grip forever. I want you to think right now about the people you love most in this world. Picture their faces, feel their struggles, see their dreams deferred, their hopes delayed, their prayers hanging in the air like smoke. Now understand this. What happens to you on the 21st of August happens for them too. Your elevation becomes their escalation. Your breakthrough becomes their open door. Your shock becomes their salvation. This is why you can't approach the 21st of August with small thinking. You can't prepare for a personal blessing when God is orchestrating a generational shift. You can't get ready for individual impact when heaven is positioning you for community transformation. Ephesians 3:20 declares that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think. But notice what comes next. According to the power that worketh in us. The power isn't just for us, it works in us to flow through us to others. Right now, I want you to do something that might move you to tears. In the comments below, type the names of the people you want to carry into this, the 21st of August blessing with you. Your children, your grandchildren, your friends who've been struggling, your neighbors who've lost hope. Type their names and let heaven know that your shock is their shock too. Because here's the truth that will either thrill you or terrify you. After the 21st of August, you will never again be able to live just for yourself. What happens after the earth shakes? The aftershocks begin. Chosen one, listen to me carefully. The 21st of August is not a single lightning bolt that strikes once and disappears into the night. No, beloved. The 21st of August is an earthquake in the spirit realm. And earthquakes don't just shake once. They send tremors rippling through the ground for days, weeks, even months afterward. And every aftershock is proof that the original quake was real. You see, the world has taught you to expect God to move in microwave moments, quick, instant, one-time events that you can check off a list and move on. But that's not how heaven operates. When the Almighty decides to shift your reality, He doesn't just rearrange your circumstances for a day. He sets off a spiritual seismic event that keeps reverberating through every area of your life. Think about Moses at the Red Sea. The miracle wasn't just the moment the waters parted. The aftershocks lasted for 40 years, as an entire generation walked in the proof that God makes ways where there are no ways. Think about David when Samuel poured that oil over his head. The anointing didn't just happen in that single moment, it kept flowing, kept working, kept elevating him through caves and battles and betrayals until he sat on the throne. But here's what most people miss about divine aftershocks: they require your participation. The initial earthquake of the 21st of August will happen whether you're ready or not. God's timing doesn't wait for your permission. But the aftershocks, they depend on how you respond to the first wave. They depend on whether you stay in alignment with what heaven has set in motion, or whether you retreat back into the old patterns that belong to your former season. Right now, some of you are already feeling the tremors. Maybe it started 3 days ago with a dream so vivid you woke up with tears on your pillow. Maybe it was that sudden phone call from someone you hadn't heard from in years. Maybe it's been the restlessness in your chest that makes you pace the hallway at 2 a.m., knowing something is shifting but not knowing what. Those aren't coincidences, dear one. Those are the early aftershocks of the 21st of August rippling backward through time itself. But let me tell you what's going to shock you even more. The aftershocks don't just come after the main event, they start before it. Just like scientists can detect the small tremors that warn of a coming earthquake, your spirit has been picking up the advanced vibrations of what's about to break open in your life. That's why you've been so restless lately. That's why old relationships have been ending without explanation. That's why you've felt this strange urge to clean out closets, finish projects, and clear your schedule. Your soul knows an earthquake is coming, and it's been preparing the ground. Isaiah 43:19 declares, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." But notice, he doesn't say, "I will do a new thing." He says, "I am doing a new thing." Present tense, active, already in motion. The aftershocks are proof you're still in alignment. Every strange coincidence, every unexpected door that opens, Every person who suddenly shows up with exactly what you need, these aren't random events scattered through your calendar. They're aftershocks of the 21st of August earthquake, proving that you're positioned correctly to receive what heaven is releasing. But here's where it gets dangerous for your destiny. When people experience their first aftershock, they often make the mistake of thinking it's the whole earthquake. They settle for the tremor instead of waiting for the main event. They get a small blessing and convince themselves that was their moment, missing the magnitude of what God actually had prepared. Don't you dare settle for the appetizer when heaven has prepared a feast. The aftershocks of the 21st of August will touch every area of your life that has been dormant, stuck, or seemingly hopeless. Your health will feel the tremors. Your finances will sense the shaking. Your relationships will experience the shifting. Even your dreams at night will carry the frequency of this spiritual earthquake. And here's the part that will leave you speechless. The aftershocks will reach backward into your past and forward into your future simultaneously. You'll suddenly understand why certain doors closed 10 years ago. You'll see clearly why that relationship ended when it did. You'll realize that what felt like God's silence was actually God's strategy, positioning every piece on the chessboard for this exact moment when he says checkmate over every force that tried to defeat you. But the aftershocks will also create momentum for your future that will astonish you. Opportunities that should take years to develop will manifest in weeks. Connections that should require networking will fall into your lap through divine appointments. Resources that should demand struggle will flow to you like a river that's been dammed up for decades and finally breaks free. The key is recognizing that each aftershock is an invitation to go deeper into what God is doing. When the first tremor hits your finances, don't just celebrate the money, ask God what he wants you to do with the multiplication. When the aftershock reaches your family, don't just enjoy the reconciliation, prepare for the generational healing that's about to flow through your bloodline. The aftershocks are proof you're still in alignment. Every time you feel the ground shift beneath your feet, every time circumstances rearrange themselves in your favor, every time the impossible becomes inevitable, that's evidence that you're riding the waves of heaven's earthquake instead of fighting against them. But I need to warn you about something that could stop your aftershocks cold. Fear. Fear of change. Fear of being too hopeful. Fear that it's too good to be true. When the aftershocks begin, your mind will try to convince you that it's temporary, that it won't last, that you should prepare for it all to fall apart. That voice is not from God. That voice is from an enemy who knows that if you fully embrace these aftershocks, if you learn to dance with the tremors instead of hiding from them, you'll become unstoppable in the purposes of heaven. If you're already sensing the aftershocks, if your spirit is confirming that something massive is building in the invisible realm around your life, type in the comments, I feel the shift. Let heaven know you're not just waiting for the 21st of August. You're actively participating in the divine earthquake that's already begun. Because here's what most people will never understand about the chosen ones who experience aftershocks. They're not just receiving blessings. They're becoming epicenters of God's power, spreading the tremors of heaven into every life they touch. But the question that will determine whether your aftershocks multiply or fade is this: are you ready to live as someone who carries earthquakes wherever you go? Chosen one, what happened to you on the 21st of August wasn't just external. It wasn't just doors opening or circumstances shifting. Something far more profound occurred, something that touches the deepest chambers of your soul. The 21st of August became a mirror. Not the kind hanging on your bathroom wall that shows your physical reflection, but a spiritual mirror that reveals who you truly are beneath decades of labels the world has placed on you. Look with me into this mirror right now. What do you see? For too long, you've been staring at a reflection distorted by other people's opinions. Too old. Past your prime. Should have done more with your life. Wasted too many years. These labels have been etched into your spirit like graffiti on a sacred wall. But the 21st of August didn't just bring change around you, it revealed change within you. In Jeremiah 1-5, God declares, Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Set apart, not cast aside, not forgotten. Set apart for such a time as this. That mirror, on the 21st of August, began to crack every false identity you've carried. The reflection of failure started to dissolve, revealing the truth underneath you are fearfully and wonderfully made. The image of forgotten began to fade, exposing what was always there. You are engraved on the palms of his hands. But I need to ask you something that might sting. How many years have you looked in the mirror and seen someone God doesn't recognize? How many mornings have you stared at your reflection and whispered lies about your worth? I'm too broken. I've made too many mistakes. God could never use someone like me. Those whispers weren't your voice, beloved. They were echoes of the enemy's greatest fear, that you would one day see yourself as heaven sees you. The spiritual mirror of the 21st of August reflects something the natural eye cannot perceive. It shows you scars that have become seals of destiny. Every betrayal that should have destroyed you, but didn't, that's a seal. Every financial collapse that should have broken you but left you standing, that's a seal. Every diagnosis that should have stolen your hope but somehow deepened your faith, that's a seal. Every scar has become a seal of destiny. You want to know why the enemy fought you so hard for so many years? Because he could see your reflection in heaven's mirror long before you could. He saw a warrior disguised as a senior citizen. He saw a prophet wrapped in wrinkles. He saw revival fire burning in eyes the world calls tired. In 2 Corinthians 5:17, Paul writes, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone, the new is here." But here's what most people miss. You don't become new by erasing your past. You become new by seeing your past through God's eyes. That divorce that nearly killed you. In heaven's mirror, it's your qualification to counsel broken hearts. That addiction you battled in silence, it's your authority to set captives free. That depression that felt like a tomb, it's your testimony that resurrects hope in others. The mirror doesn't show you someone perfect. It shows you someone perfected through suffering, refined through fire, made beautiful through brokenness. But let me dig deeper into your heart, chosen one. There's a wound you've been carrying that runs deeper than the surface pain. It's the wound of abandonment. Not just by people, though, that hurt too, but the feeling that God himself had abandoned you in your darkest hours. You remember those nights, don't you? When you cried out to heaven and heard only silence. When you begged for help and felt only emptiness. When you searched for his face and saw only darkness. In those moments, you weren't just questioning your circumstances, you were questioning your worth. "If I'm really chosen," you whispered, "why am I so alone?" Here's the shocking truth that the 21st of August revealed in that spiritual mirror. You were never alone. You were hidden. There's a profound difference between abandonment and hiddenness. God hides what he treasures most until the appointed time of revelation. David spent years hiding in caves before he touched the throne. Joseph rotted in prison before he ruled Egypt. Moses wandered in the wilderness before he split the Red Sea. Your hiding wasn't punishment, it was preparation for a glory so magnificent that if it had come earlier, it would have consumed you. The mirror of the 21st of August shows you the truth about those wilderness years. Every tear you cried in secret watered seeds of compassion. Every prayer you whispered in darkness built altars of authority. Every moment you felt forgotten by man, you were being remembered by heaven. Look deeper into this mirror, beloved. See past the wrinkles, past the gray hair, past the limitations your body carries. What do you see? You see eyes that have witnessed miracles others only read about. You see hands that have held prayers for decades before they were answered. You see a heart that has loved when love wasn't returned, forgiven when forgiveness wasn't deserved, and believed when belief made no sense. That's not the reflection of someone ordinary. That's the reflection of someone extraordinary who has been disguised as ordinary for divine purposes. But the most shocking revelation in this spiritual mirror is this. The person you're looking at right now is not who you used to be. The 21st of August awakening didn't just open doors, it opened your eyes to see that you've been transformed by every trial, elevated by every test, and promoted through every pain. You are not the same person who started reading this message. Something fundamental has shifted in your spiritual DNA. The mirror doesn't lie, and what it's showing you now cannot be unseen. Whisper it out loud right now. Don't just think it, speak it into existence. I see who I really am. Because the person looking back at you from that spiritual mirror isn't someone hoping for their moment. It's someone whose moment has already begun. And that realization changes everything about how you'll walk into tomorrow. The question burning in your heart right now is this: if this is who I really am, then what am I truly capable of? Chosen one, there's something about the 21st of August that heaven has been whispering for centuries, but the enemy has worked overtime to keep you from hearing it. This is not just about a date. This is about the narrow window of divine timing that separates those who step into their destiny from those who spend their remaining years wondering what if. Listen to me carefully. There's a train coming through your life on the 21st of August. It's not the 8:15 to nowhere that stops at every mundane station. This is the express train of divine appointment, and it only stops once. When that whistle blows, when those doors open, you have seconds, not minutes, not hours, seconds to step aboard. Miss it, and you'll watch your breakthrough disappear down the tracks of time. You know what breaks my heart? I've watched too many of God's chosen ones hesitate at the platform. They hear the whistle, they see the doors, they feel the pull in their spirit. But then fear whispers, maybe tomorrow, maybe next year, maybe when I'm more ready. Dear soul, delayed obedience is disobedience disguised as wisdom. The prophet Habakkuk wrestled with this exact torment. For years he cried out to God, "How long, Lord? How long must I wait?" But then heaven responded with words that should shake you to your core. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. Did you catch that? It will not delay. The delay was never on God's side, it was on yours. How many 70-year-olds do you know who are still waiting for their someday? How many 80-year-olds have you buried who took their dreams to the grave because they thought they had more time? How many 90-year-olds sit in nursing homes, staring out windows, whispering to themselves, "I should have said yes when I had the chance"? That's not going to be your story. But here's the shocking truth that most believers never understand. Divine timing doesn't wait for your comfort level. It doesn't consult your calendar or check your bank account. When God says now, He means now, not when your arthritis feels better, not when your children approve, not when your fear finally gives you permission. The 21st of August is carrying something that was prepared for you before you were born, but it requires something from you that eternity is watching to see if you'll give. It requires immediate obedience, the kind of obedience that Abraham showed when God said go, and he packed his tent before dawn. The kind that Mary showed when the angel said, "You will conceive," and she said, "Let it be." The kind that Noah showed when God said build, and he started cutting wood while his neighbors mocked. What you do in the next 72 hours, not 72 days, not 72 weeks, the next 72 hours will determine the next 24 years of your destiny. Because the 21st of August isn't just bringing you a blessing, it's bringing you a choice, and that choice has an expiration date. Here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. He's not trying to stop your blessing. He's too late for that. God already cut the check. The enemy's strategy now is delay, make you hesitate, make you overthink, make you wait for more confirmation, more signs, more perfect circumstances. Because he knows that while you're debating, the window is closing. Do you remember when Jesus walked on water? Peter had a choice. Stay in the boat where it was safe, predictable, and normal, or step out onto the impossible. How long do you think Peter deliberated? How many pro and con lists did he make? The Bible tells us he immediately stepped out. Not after a committee meeting, not after checking the weather forecast. Immediately. That's the spirit the 21st of August is calling for. The immediate yes, the immediate step, the immediate surrender to what heaven has orchestrated. But let me tell you what hesitation costs. It doesn't just cost you this opportunity. It costs you the person you were meant to become through this opportunity. It costs you the testimony you were meant to carry. It costs you the legacy you were meant to leave. It costs you the 24 years of walking in authority instead of wandering in circles. Right now, some of you are feeling it, that pull, that knowing, that divine discomfort that says something big is about to shift. Don't you dare talk yourself out of it. Don't you dare let logic murder what the Spirit is confirming. Your mind will always find reasons to wait. Your flesh will always prefer the familiar. But your spirit recognizes the sound of doors opening that may never open again. The window is narrow. The hour is holy. The choice is yours. Do not wait. Do not delay. Do not wander into the comfortable deception that tells you divine opportunities come around every year like birthdays. They don't. Some doors open once in a lifetime. Some trains only stop once per generation. Some windows only crack open for moments before they seal shut forever. What you're feeling right now, that urgency, that stirring, that holy pressure in your chest, that's not anxiety, that's divine acceleration. Heaven is speeding up because time is shorter than you think. Not your time on earth, but the time for this specific assignment to be birthed through your obedience. If you are ready to move with God's timing, if you're ready to stop negotiating with your destiny and start stepping into it, write boldly in the comments. No more delay. Because what I'm about to reveal next will show you exactly what the 21st of August is carrying and why every day of delay between now and then could cost you the very thing your soul has been crying out for. Chosen one, what I'm about to reveal will shake you to your core. The 21st of August is not just your breakthrough date. It's your bloodline's breakthrough date. You think this moment is about you finally getting what you've been praying for. Think bigger, think deeper, think generations deeper. Every gray hair on your head, every wrinkle earned through decades of faithfulness, every sleepless night you spent interceding for children who don't even call anymore, all of that has been building toward a moment that will echo through your family tree for the next 100 years. The 21st of August is not a birthday. It is a seed date. Listen to me carefully. Your grandmother's prayers that seemed to go unanswered, they didn't disappear into thin air. They've been accumulating interest in heaven's bank, and on the 21st of August, the compound blessing comes due. Not just for you, for every descendant who will carry your DNA and your faith. You want to know why the enemy fought you so hard? Why depression stalked your family line? Why addiction tried to claim your children? Why financial struggle seemed to follow you from generation to generation? Because hell saw what was coming on the 21st of August, and it tried to kill the harvest before the seed could be planted. But you're still here, you're still breathing, you're still believing, and that means the enemy lost. Look at Abraham, 75 years old when God called him out of Ur. 75. Society would have put him in a retirement home, but God put him on a mission. One decision, one yes to leave everything familiar, and suddenly every nation on earth would be blessed through his bloodline. Genesis 12:3 declares it. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you. One moment, one choice, one elderly man saying yes to the impossible, and 4,000 years later, we're still living in the ripple effects of Abraham's obedience. Your the 21st of August is Abraham's altar moment. Your yes will echo into eternity. Think about Joseph, sold into slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused, forgotten in prison for years. But Genesis 50:20 records his stunning revelation. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Every betrayal in your family, every financial setback, every moment when you felt abandoned, God has been weaving it into a tapestry of redemption that your great-grandchildren will wrap themselves in when their own storms come. You see, beloved, the shock of the 21st of August isn't just that something good finally happens to you. The shock is that you'll realize you were never the only beneficiary. You were the conduit. You were the chosen vessel through which heaven would pour blessing on an entire lineage. Your prodigal son, who hasn't spoken to you in 3 years. The 21st of August will shift the spiritual atmosphere over his life. Your granddaughter battling addiction. The breakthrough that comes to you will break the chains around her. Your great-grandchildren not yet born, they will walk in favor they never had to fight for because you stood in the gap on the 21st of August. This is why Ruth's story is in the Bible. One Moabite woman makes a radical decision. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. Ruth 1:16. One choice. One moment of abandoning the familiar for the faithful, and that decision placed her in the bloodline of King David and ultimately Jesus Christ. Ruth didn't know she was changing the course of salvation history. She just knew she couldn't abandon Naomi. She just knew something greater was calling her forward. That's you on the 21st of August. You won't fully comprehend the magnitude of what's shifting, but your spirit will know, your faith will know, your obedience will know. Here's what's going to happen. In the months following the 21st of August, your family members are going to start asking you what's different. They're going to notice that things just seem to work out for you now. Opportunities that used to take years will manifest in weeks. Doors that were sealed shut will swing open at your approach. Money will come from directions you never expected, and they'll want to know your secret. That's when you'll understand. You weren't just blessed, you were commissioned. You weren't just favored, you were appointed as the generational game changer. The blessing didn't start with you, and it won't end with you. It flows through you like a river through a valley, bringing life to everything downstream. Your yes will ripple, your faith will ripple, your legacy will ripple. Every time you choose faith over fear from the 21st of August forward, you're not just making a personal decision, you're creating a family precedent. Every time you speak life instead of death, you're establishing a generational vocabulary. Every time you trust God's timing instead of forcing your own, you're teaching your bloodline how to wait on the Lord. The shock of the 21st of August is not the end, it is the inheritance of those who come after you. I need you to do something right now that's going to seal this generational breakthrough. In the comments below, type the names of your family members, your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, even the ones not yet born. As you type each name, you're declaring, "This blessing will cover my house." Don't you dare underestimate the power of that declaration. When you speak names over breakthrough, you're giving heaven legal permission to move in their lives. You're standing as the family priest, the spiritual gatekeeper, the generational intercessor. Joshua knew this when he declared in Joshua 24-15, "As for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." One man's decision, one family's commitment, one generation's stand. But here's the urgency that should grip your heart right now. Generational breakthrough requires generational courage, and courage expires if it's not activated. But here's what most people don't understand about divine shocks, chosen one. They think a blessing is a gift card you can spend however you want. They think when heaven opens, it's time to celebrate and coast. That's not just wrong, it's dangerous. Listen to me carefully. What's coming on the 21st of August is not a toy. It's not a lucky break. It's not some cosmic accident that fell into your lap because you've been good. What's coming is an assignment wrapped in a blessing, and if you don't understand the weight of what you're about to carry, it will crush you under its own power. Moses learned this the hard way. When God gave him the tablets on Mount Sinai, those weren't just stone souvenirs. They were the very words of the Almighty, carved by the finger of God himself. But what happened when Moses came down and saw the people worshipping a golden calf? He threw those tablets to the ground and shattered them. Exodus 32-19. The blessing became a burden because the people weren't ready to receive what heaven was offering. You think you're ready for the 21st of August? You think you can handle what's about to be released into your life? Then you better understand something right now. Blessings are like torches in the darkest night. They will light your path and show you wonders you never imagined. But torches must be carried with steady hands. Drop the torch, and the very thing meant to guide you becomes the fire that burns down everything you've built. Here's what's going to shock you about the aftermath of the 21st of August. The blessing will arrive, and within 48 hours, you're going to be tested on every level. Your phone will ring with opportunities you never expected. People will emerge from your past with offers that sound too good to be true. Doors will swing open so fast you'll get dizzy trying to keep up. And that's exactly when the enemy strikes. Not every open door is your door, beloved. Not every opportunity carries your name. Not every person who suddenly wants to be your friend deserves access to your new season. The devil knows he can't stop what God has ordained for the 21st of August, so he's going to try to hijack it, redirect it, corrupt it. Remember Samson, the strongest man who ever lived, carrying an anointing so powerful that honey flowed from a lion's carcass at his touch. But he told his secret to the wrong woman. Judges 16:17. He let the wrong person get too close to his gift. And one haircut later, the man who once killed 1,000 with a donkey's jawbone was grinding grain like a blind ox. Your blessing will make you visible to people you've never met. Your new level will attract attention you've never had. Your increased influence will draw both eagles and vultures. Can you tell the difference? Because if you can't, the 21st of August will become the beginning of your greatest regret instead of your greatest victory. I'm talking to those of you right now who've been lonely for so long that when people start showing up after the 21st of August, you're going to want to say yes to everyone. You're going to want to share your excitement with anyone who'll listen. You're going to want to prove you're not stuck up by keeping your old patterns and old relationships. Stop. Guard your energy like it's liquid gold, because that's exactly what it is. Guard your relationships like they're life and death, because they are. Guard your time like it's sacred, because it is. The Apostle Paul warned Timothy in 2 Timothy 3:2, "For people will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy." Not everyone celebrating your breakthrough is celebrating you. Some are celebrating access to what you're about to receive. Here's the truth that will save your blessing. The shock of the 21st of August will lift you higher than you've ever been. But only wisdom will keep you standing at that altitude. Only discernment will help you breathe in the thin air of your new elevation. Only discipline will help you steward what heaven has entrusted to your hands. Protect it, guard it, steward it. These 3 words will become your daily prayer, your hourly reminder, your minute-by-minute mandate. Because what's coming isn't just for you, it's through you. It's not just about your comfort, it's about your calling. It's not just about your breakthrough, it's about your responsibility to break through for others who are still waiting in their caves. If you understand the weight of what's about to be placed in your hands, if you're ready to carry not just blessing but responsibility, type in the comments right now, "I will guard the gift." Because chosen one, the blessing is coming whether you're ready or not. But whether it builds you up or breaks you down depends entirely on what you do with this warning. Chosen one, as we come to the end of this sacred encounter, I need you to carry these truths with you like precious stones in your heart. Remember this, the 21st of August is not just another date, it's your divine appointment with destiny. The shock that's coming isn't random, it's been orchestrated by the same God who parted the Red Sea and raised Jesus from the dead. Every delay you've experienced, every tear you've shed in silence, every moment you felt forgotten, none of it was wasted. It was all preparation for this moment when heaven declares, "Now is your time." Remember that blessings carry weight, not just excitement. What's coming will require wisdom to steward, discernment to protect, and courage to walk in. You are not receiving a gift card, you are receiving an assignment wrapped in divine favor. But most importantly, remember this: you are never walking this journey alone. Even when the road feels uncertain, even when the blessing seems too big to handle, even when doubt whispers lies in your ear, the God who called you is faithful to complete what he has started in you. Philippians 1-6 reminds us, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." And right here, in this sacred space we've created together, you have thousands of brothers and sisters who understand your struggle, who believe in your calling, and who are ready to stand with you in prayer. We're not just viewers on a screen, we're a family united by faith, bound together by hope, and strengthened by the love of Christ. Let me ask you this final question, and let it settle deep in your spirit. When the 21st of August arrives and heaven opens over your life, will you be ready to receive not just the blessing, but the responsibility that comes with it? Now, before you leave this holy ground, let me place my hand on your shoulder through these words and pray over your life with the authority of 5 decades walking with the Almighty. Heavenly Father, I lift up every precious soul who has stayed with us through this entire message. Lord, you see their hearts, you know their struggles. You've counted every tear they've cried in secret. You see the grandmother who raised children, but always felt there was something more. You see the grandfather who built a career, but knew deep down he was built for something greater. You see every senior saint who has been told to step aside when you are saying, "Step forward." God, I pray that you would breathe fresh wind into their weary souls tonight. Where they feel depleted, restore them. Where they feel forgotten, remind them of their worth. Where they feel overwhelmed by what's coming, be their strength and their wisdom. Father, prepare their hearts for the 21st of August. Open their eyes to see the doors you're opening. Open their ears to hear your voice above the noise. Give them discernment to know which opportunities are from you and which are distractions from the enemy. Lord, bless their families, their health, their finances, their relationships. Surround them with people who will honor their calling and support their breakthrough. Remove those who would drain their energy or diminish their light. Most of all, Father, let them feel your presence right now. Let them know that they are loved beyond measure, chosen beyond doubt, and destined for greatness beyond their wildest dreams. Let the 21st of August be the day their waiting turns to walking, their hoping turns to having, and their dreaming turns to doing. In Jesus' mighty name, I seal this prayer over their lives. Let your will be done, your kingdom come, your glory be revealed. Amen. Now, I want to hear from you. In the comments below, share how this message has impacted your heart. What shifted in your spirit tonight? What are you believing God for as the 21st of August approaches? Don't hold back, your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to keep believing. Type the 21st of August is my moment if you're ready to step into what God has prepared for you. And if this message touched your soul, please share it with someone who needs to remember they're not forgotten. There's someone in your life right now who's been feeling overlooked, undervalued, set aside. They need to hear these words. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Thank you for opening your heart, for believing God still has plans for your life, for refusing to give up when others your age are giving in. If this is your first time here, welcome to the family. Hit that subscribe button and join thousands of believers who gather here regularly to be encouraged, equipped, and empowered for kingdom living. Remember, beloved, the 21st of August is coming. Your shock is waiting. Your assignment is ready. And the God who called you before time began is faithful to complete what he has started. Until we meet again, walk in the authority of who you are chosen, beloved, and never, ever forgotten. God bless you, chosen one. Your moment has arrived.